Good morning, Savannah, and welcome to the Business Spotlight series. We're really happy that you joined us this morning. Welcome on board.
Thanks very much. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. And we'll launch straight in as we want to hear lots about yourself and your business. So the first question we want to ask you is, what do you do, for how long, and why?
Absolutely. So I am the founder and director of the Photography Ethics Center. The center was founded in 2017. So I've been operating for about 5 years now, just over 5 years, actually. And through the center, what we really do is we're all about creating educational opportunities that raise awareness about the ethics of taking and sharing photographs. That sounds super niche, but actually it's applicable to absolutely everybody. It's applicable to anybody who has a camera phone in their hand, all the way to professional photographers who are photographing for National Geographic, right? It's really a wide-ranging set of concepts that we talk about, wide-ranging applications. And yeah, it sounds niche, but it really isn't. And I think that that's maybe one of the most important points that I try to convey to people when I'm talking about what we do, because I think people hear, oh, photography ethics. Oh, wow. That's not something we hear about all the time. And it isn't something we talk about, but really, photographs are ubiquitous today, right? We see photographs all the time on social media and advertising. We can't escape them, even if we wanted to, right? And photographs play a really important role in how we think about the world. They impact how we perceive others, or how we what we know about places that we've never been.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're taking and when we're sharing photographs, we're playing a really important role in shaping how other people understand the things that we're sharing. And I think that there's a lot of power in that process that we often don't think about. This also really is very applicable to businesses, who use photographs in advertising, right? That's why, that's part of the reason why there's been so much movement toward, inclusive advertising campaigns and more body positivity in advertising, because the advertising images we receive affect how we think about ourselves and others. So that was maybe a more theoretical response to your question, but I guess practically, what this means is that we offer sort of multimedia educational content. So that would be things like the Photo Ethics podcast, which I host. We have articles. We also have online courses, one of which is free, and then the more advanced levels are paid for. And those really just introduce photography ethics. Those are designed as self-paced, asynchronous learning. We're going to this year be launching online live facilitated workshops that are open for public enrollment. But often already we do a lot of live facilitated workshops for universities, media organizations, charity organizations, art institutions, businesses, sort of all sorts. We also do consulting on specific projects. We run events. We have a certification program as well.
Brilliant.
So that's a lot of information. Sorry to dump that, sort of front load all that, but yeah.
Really interesting. I do love the medium of photography, and there's definitely interested in looking at your courses. So alongside all of the aspects of your business and the many hats that you have to wear, what has been your biggest learnings in business and in life so far?
I think really one of the biggest things that I've learned in life, but which is very applicable to business, is that everything is change. Like, what's the idiom? Like, change is the only constant. Because I think that we can get very attached to things being good, and then we can get very, it can really shake us when things don't go well. And I think if we sort of just embed that understanding that when things are good, enjoy them, because they won't be around forever. And when things are bad, don't despair, because that won't stay forever either. I think that can sort of help. That has helped me to create a lot more equilibrium, and just day to day and in business, definitely.
Brilliant. Has there been any big surprises along the way about running your own business? Any surprising aspects or hurdles that you've come up against?
Honestly, I think I think my biggest surprise is that I didn't think I would be such a tough boss on myself. Being self-employed, one of the main reasons why I wanted to be self-employed was because I wanted the flexibility of setting my own hours. But what I ended up finding was that I was working way more often than I was not working. I was not keeping to, traditional hours of 9 to 5. I was working evenings. I was working weekends. And I think what I really had to do was to very, very consciously set more boundaries for myself, to lock myself in a little bit to more, what do they say that, tasks fill to or expand to fit the time available, right? And if you give all of your time, then the tasks will take all of the time. So I think being a little bit more strict with myself to give myself time off rather than time on. I thought that I would have to, it might be hard to chain myself to my desk or my computer, but that isn't the hard part. The hard part is making other space. And, I think that's probably, if I were to give any advice to anybody, I think that would be the similar advice is that, burnout is very real. It's not a joke. And I think it's really important to make sure that you're balancing time for yourself, not just as a reward, that, oh, I've done the task, now I'm going to go reward myself, but as actually an integral part of your life that has to be booked in and honored.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, my next question was, what would you say to anyone thinking of going into business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just to expand on that, if that's okay, like, I think especially when you're starting your own organization or business, your self-worth can be very tied up in what you do. It's your thing, your niche. You've carved it out. And you want it to do well. And I think that if you have other things in your life, and you give quality time to other aspects of your life, I think that can really help to hold yourself apart from the success or failure of your business venture, whatever that is. I also think that it helps you to sort of come at your work each time you sit back down with more enthusiasm, more vigor, and more interest in what you're doing. I think if you can get tunnel vision so easily, when you're so invested in something, but when you have that space away, I think it just helps everything. It helps your mental health. It helps your organization. Yeah, I think it's not necessarily valued highly enough.
Yeah, I totally agree. And is there anything that you've learned about yourself during the journey of starting your business and running it?
That's a tough question. I mean, I think maybe one thing that I've learned is that I'm much more of a perfectionist than I thought I was. And that might sound like a good thing, but it isn't. I don't think it serves me well. I think that perfectionism can be great because I am very detail oriented. I fully invest myself into each new project. And I think I invest myself in these things quite heavily because I want a perfect outcome. But I also think that perfectionism, when you're starting an organization, like it's good for the individual projects, but I don't know that it is great for the broader life of the organization, because I think perfectionism can also hold you back, because you're waiting for the perfect time or the perfect till you've drafted the perfect document before you put it out into the world, or, and I think working through perfectionism and being a little bit, investing my all, but also being able to recognize that is good. It will never be perfect. And if I'm waiting for it to be perfect, I'm never going to move forward. Yeah. So, I think that's maybe a big learning.
Nice. It sounds like you're sort of honing in on that for the right reasons. So moving on to how you get through your working day. Do you have any favorite quotes or sayings that you might have on your desk or on your wall that you seek inspiration from?
I don't actually. I think it
Okay.
changes all the time. It depends on what I'm reading at the time, you know. Right now I'm reading 4,000 Weeks, which is a really interesting book about life and time. Um, Previously I was reading a book, How to Do Nothing by Jenny Odell, and it's sort of whatever I'm reading is, you know, there are bits from that are my current favorite, but it'll change with the next book I pick up. So I don't have anything terribly specific to give
Yeah,
you.
that's fine. Great shares on the book. So it's a 4,000 weeks. I'll have to add that to the list.
It's great.
Um, and following on from that, is there anyone that you sort of look up to or that you see as the first person you think of when you think about success? Is there a role model or someone that you aspire to?
I'm sorry to I can't play ball very well with these questions because I don't I can't think of anybody in particular. I'm really dreadful with that. I guess I guess if I was thinking maybe of a fictional character,
Yeah,
I do love Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation. I
absolutely.
think that her enthusiasm is infectious, and I saw a mug once that said, "Be the Leslie Knope of whatever you do," and I think I try to do that a little bit.
Yeah. I'll definitely be watching some Parks and Rec after this. Okay, and thinking about going back to your business, if you started your business again, is there anything that you would do differently or change?
Yeah, a few things, definitely. One thing is quite specific, I guess. I would register it differently.
Okay.
So I registered the organization just as, a typical company limited by share because I didn't have a lot of legal support. I didn't have a lot of money to put into legal support. And that was sort of the quickest, easiest way to get registered. Um, in retrospect, it might have been worthwhile to maybe invest more time but I did the research, but I chose to do the way that I did it for a variety of reasons. But now looking back, I wish I'd made different choices, but that's something that I can also remedy. So I'm planning on in this year, making that a goal to sort of relook at our structure and how we're registered and make some changes.
Nice. Yeah, it's something that comes up a lot, that registration of limited or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Nice. And is there anything in 2023 that's coming up for your business that you're excited about or looking forward to?
Absolutely. So I guess, well, personally, I've just submitted my PhD thesis,
Oh,
um,
congratulations.
which is really exciting. Yeah, thank you. It's exciting to have it done. And I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for the Photography Ethics Center because when I started the organization in 2017, I started it in the same semester that I started my PhD.
Okay.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. I would not recommend that to others necessarily, unless you, I don't know, have a slight, I don't know. It's not fun necessarily, but again, at the time I did it for specific reasons that made sense at the time, but now I'm glad that that's drawing to a close. But the point is that for the whole 5 years that I've been running the Photography Ethics Center, I've been also doing the PhD. So I've been riding two horses, and that's been quite difficult to juggle and time manage because the time of doing a PhD is so slow. Research is slow, writing is slow, and running a business or an organization is very fast paced. You reply to emails, you do online marketing, it's completely different time frames to be working within. And I found the juggling the two was very hard for that reason. So now with sort of the PhD nearly behind me, I think I'm really excited to really fully be able to invest my time in the Photography Ethics Center and to give it that space that it really needs to grow. Because even though we've been running for 5 years, we're still sort of very much a startup, very small organization, so I think it'll be really, really nice to have that time to sort of throw into the center.
Yeah.
So lots of things hopefully coming this year.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye. Sounds exciting. A big year for growth for you.
Yeah.
And if you can cast your mind ahead, what does your business look like in 5 years' time?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So as I said, right now it's largely me running the day-to-day of the organization. So I've got a great team of advisors. But that their role is mostly sort of relegated to that role of advisor. They're not really involved in much of the day-to-day running or hands-on aspects of the Photography Ethics Center. So I would really like to bring more people in to sort of lighten the burden a little bit, especially with things like social media that I don't find for me is not very fulfilling. I'd rather be doing, more strategic thinking. That I'm just not very good at social media, and I know that there are people who would do it a whole lot better for the Photography Ethics Center than I do. So I would love to bring in some of that expertise. And I'd like to invest my time in teaching because that's what I love.
Yeah.
That's what sort of, I guess, drives me is the teaching aspect, and the writing, and the research. I'd like to do more of that sort of educational component, but also big picture sort of strategic thinking for the organization that it's hard to find the time to do when you're caught up in replying to emails and managing social media and doing the accounting and, all the other things that go into it. But I guess in terms of maybe what we're doing and what the organization maybe looks like from the outside, one of the things that we launched, well, there are two things that we launched in tandem last year. The first one is it's called the Statement of Ethics campaign. So this is geared at anybody who uses photographs on a regular basis, maybe in their work, maybe recreationally. It's also geared at any organization that uses photographs regularly, or as a core part of their work. And the idea is that it is to take the time to really think about what are our ethical principles that shape how we use photographs. What kinds of things are important to us? Do we need to get consent? Is that something that's important to, my work as a photographer or my organization and how I use images? How do I source images? How do I show diversity and representation in my images? So getting people to sort of articulate these things, because I think that we spend a lot of time talking about ethics in photography, especially when things go wrong, when there's been an ethical breach. But I don't think we spend enough time talking about it when things are going right. So what I'm trying to do is trying to get people to think much more proactively about ethics, to articulate their ethics, to put it pen to paper and to share it with the world, to foster more accountability, transparency, and also just to demonstrate to others, that this is important. I've taken time to write the statement of ethics, to share the statement of ethics. This is something that we should be doing, that we should care about collectively as an industry. And in tandem with that, I also launched a certification program. And this program is not to rubber stamp people saying, all their decisions are going to be ethical. But instead, the certification program is really just signposting to say, this person has invested time, has engaged their brain in these activities, has created space in their workflow to think about ethics. They're going to get it wrong because we all get it wrong, but they have invested time in equipping themselves with the tools to make those decisions. And I guess I would really like in 5 years' time for, certification to become more mainstream, to become a requirement. That when we're looking for photographers to, I'm thinking my background is more from the international development sector. If we're looking for a photographer to photograph an international development project, we're looking for photographers who have certification, from the Photography Ethics Center, who have engaged with that, who've thought about that, who've invested the time in making sure that, that they're equipped to deal with those ethical issues. So I would like to see, I'd like to see that, the sort of the statement of ethics be more broadly adopted, to see that, statements on all photographers' websites. I would love that. I think that that's what we need. And I would love to see the certification being, looked to as a standard.
Yeah, that's really exciting. It's really great to hear it, and it makes me think of something that I heard about recently, where like rules and boundaries breed creativity, and it sounds like that's something that you're really fostering through your business and your courses and certifications. So that's
I
really
love that. I mean, but this is the thing, so often people say that, ethics will be limiting, but they aren't. When we add ethics into our workflow and into how we think about things, it actually opens up so many creative opportunities. So I love that quote. You'll have to share with me where you saw that.
I can't remember quite exactly where, but it's something that I enjoy, because we always think rules and boundaries or certifications are the scary things and the things that we shy away from, but they certainly can get you going.
Totally.
It's been so interesting speaking to you, Savannah. Is there any way that we can find out more about what you do, or is there anything you want to share if people want to connect with you and work with you?
Absolutely. So we do all kinds of projects, all, helping people to design ethical photography policies, to work on a specific project that needs maybe a photo ethics angle. So we do consulting. You can learn more about our workshops and our training opportunities and listen to our podcast at www.photoethics.org. You can also follow us on social media. On Twitter, we're at PhotoEthics, and on Instagram, we're at PhotoEthics Center.
Okay,
So all of our things are sort of across those platforms, or you can just get in touch with me as well via, email on the website. So
okay, that's fantastic. Well, hopefully we'll be chatting to you soon more about what you're doing, and enjoy the rest of your day, and happy International Women's Day as well.
absolutely, happy International Women's Day. That's great.
Thank you
Thanks
so
very
much,
much for
Savannah.
having me.
Thank you.